Time to talk about a little snagglepuss, which is definitely going to play a role in our work this term. It's one thing if you're paying for SQL Server up in Azure, then of course you have the luxury of doing incremental changes, creating a new migration each time, that is to the design of your models, and away you go. And you can just apply those migrations one after another. What we've seen, it works quite well with sqLite. Our workaround is that we delete the database every time we make a change to the model of our application, and we just recreate it with a new migration, right? Works fine locally. Trouble is, up in Azure, it can be a little bit more complicated because, of course, the database is created up there, and we need to clear it out of the way up in the cloud as well. So let's just kind of go through that. So what I've got here is our latest version of the medical office. Now, you might recall that I was publishing a version of this app last term in our PROG1440 course. So right now I don't have any published profile. By the way, under properties here, you'd see a published profile if you'd previously published to Azure. And if you've moved either to a different computer or even to a different folder on the same computer, you'll get prompted for a password. And that's because it's a password for publishing generated by the system. And guess what? You don't even know what it is. So don't try and guess because there's no way you will, right? We've talked about this before. The quick thing is to go in and just select that and delete it, right? The published profile itself. Okay, but I don't have one to worry about, so I don't have to worry about that. So I can just select publish, right? Okay, I'm going to publish to Azure, of course, as I've done in the past, a app service in Windows. Right, and of course here, because I'm logged in with my same account, okay, here are the different things I have got going up there right now. So it was this one here is the resource, and it's Medical Office 2020, right? So that's the one I'm going to select. So do finish. And of course, a couple other little things, because it sees there are references that the support is here for SQL Server, right? We want to kind of get rid of that. Okay, we have to remove that dependency. I select remove, and it still doesn't quite go away. So we say ignore this for all profiles. Okay, now we don't have any service dependency to worry about. We've said, nah, don't worry about that. Remember, one other thing that's critical is the deployment mode, right? We want to change that from framework dependent to, of course, our self-contained, right? And that's good. All right, so we'd be ready to publish. Now, the only thing is, at this point in time, if I publish and run it, I'll get an error because I've updated. I have a new migration, right, here that I've created, and it's got all the latest features in it. But there's an existing copy of the database up on the server. So what the heck am I going to do about that, right? Well, that's where I can use the Cloud Explorer, right? This lets you explore all of your apps and everything you have going up in Azure. Now, of course, this depends on being logged in to Visual Studio with the same account that you use to log into uh, Azure, but of course we would be, otherwise we couldn't publish, could we, right? So you can try, if you want, you can find your app service in here. You can come down, have a look at the files. But I'll tell you right now, the file structure looks nothing like what we're used to seeing over here in the Solution Explorer. So yeah, it's not exactly a trivial task to go through and find, because there's all kinds of files up there. So, the easiest thing is, oh, look at that, search Medical Office. .db, that's the name of my database. So if I search for that, by the way, if you don't do this, it's not the end of the world. You can always just delete it and then republish, right? Actually, you don't even necessarily have to republish, but that's the easiest thing to do. Ooh, that's loud. Sorry. Let me turn down my volume there. There we go. All right, now we should also do the security just for completeness. I don't know that I've actually changed anything in the security. I don't think I have, but you know what? I might just wipe the slate clean. Okay, so we'll delete that as well. All right, there we go. So I've deleted, okay, the databases. Now, when we publish and it goes through the startup, it will once again complete, okay, the actions in our program CS. It will create the database, migrate, do our seeding, and so on and so forth, right? And that'll all happen up in the cloud. So, oh, I didn't mean to click run. Sorry. Boom. That was a boo-boo. Well, not that there's anything wrong with running it, but that's not what I'm after. What I'm after is publish, right? Okay, so now, so again, I'm working from home, and so I have a very slow upload speed. So I'm going to pause the recording because this will likely take a little while. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So now it's finished and it's opened it up live on the internet. The easiest way to check and make sure the database is there is, can I log in and can I see patients, etc. And there we go. So yeah, we've got our database up and running. It's the newest version, right? Because we deleted the old version and we allowed the system at the end of the publishing process to recreate the database, and away we go. So everything seems to be working as we would expect it to be, right? And of course, if I want to be a good boy, I can come in here and manage my account details, fill out my favorite ice cream, and so on. All right, but back in Visual Studio then, right? So we see we successfully published, but the big difference was by clearing the database out of the way, now we were able to recreate them properly, and away we go. Oh, say we're recreated locally here because I ran it locally as well. Okay, no harm in that. All right, so hopefully that'll be a bit of a help. So now you have a kind of an idea of how to make major changes, major updates to your model, and republish to Azure. Just a bit of an extra step in there. You really probably don't even have, I didn't even actually have to do the security one. I could have just done the actual production tables, the medical office, DB, but that's okay. We covered everything.